All right. Now, Gyi, I know that you have a pretty close relationship with the intake management software world with Matt Spiegel from Lawmatics. Tell us about Lawmatics.
I do. I have to disclose that
Yeah.
I am very close. I have a dog in the fight for Lawmatics. But one of the things I love about Lawmatics, not even because they're not the only ones who do this particular aspect, but when I talked early on to Matt, part of his vision was to focus on delivering the reporting. And that's a long time ago when they first started. They've added a lot of features to that, but they're a great option right now. I think legal specific, and obviously I'm biased because I'm helping influence the product there. But you want to check? I'd put the Lawmatics reporting against a lot of the other players in legal tech.
Fair, totally fair. Yeah. The other thing I would say, not that I don't want to. I am not an investor, so I can gush over Lawmatics genuinely. I wish I was an investor, to be blunt. So Lawmatics is one of the things we haven't talked about. This kind of gives me the willies a little bit, especially with this type of data. Lawmatics is completely independent. Now they're venture backed, but their data. So let me give you the ugly side of this. You're dealing with very, very valuable data, right? So the information that Gyi and I have been talking about, the data that we want you to generate to evaluate how your firms are doing, that's amazingly valuable information. And I get very leery of the ability of firms, agencies, right? Or even a larger conglomerate having access to the things that make your firm go around, right?
And just to clarify there are definitely CRM providers that have agency leadership that could become an issue.
Yeah, I would research the background of who you're. So the point being, Lawmatics, totally independent, right? And bluntly, I think their technology is super solid. Their interface is really easy to work with. It's sophisticated, and so we're going to move on from Lawmatics, but they are also independent, which I really, really like. I think that is something. You're really exposing yourself when you're sharing the data that drives the growth of your firm with the guy across the street through either your agency or the tool
competitor.
That's scary.
Right. Yeah, another lawyer. That's the one that really scares me too.
Yeah. Clio. Okay. We talked about Clio Grow. Clio Grow was a product called Lexicata, which I believe was the second ever legal marketing specific intake management software that was purchased, I believe, and I think this is accurate, Gyi, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was Clio's first acquisition. Is that true?
That is true, to my knowledge. Public acquisition,
so if you and I both believe that, then it is 100% true. And our listeners heard it on the internet. So it has to be true. It is, so Clio Grow and Clio Matter. I think the one, and so it's an easy choice. If you use Clio Matters, Clio Grow is an obvious and easy choice. I think the one ding I would have on that is the integration between the two is not as seamless as one would think it would be, given that they're both owned by Clio. And so that's my knock on Clio Grow, but it is a fairly easy to use tool, and it integrates okay with Clio Matters. Anything else you want to add on that one?
No, I think it's solid. And, I think for the thing I really like, if you go just do some research on, Jack Newton talking about his vision for supporting the client from the time of first interaction with the law firm all the way through the journey to even beyond, you get a good sense that, one, they've got a great leader at the helm. I think that they've got a really strong foundation. They obviously have a lot of market share. They obviously are well funded. And so again, I think that those kind of things do play into your decision. One of the things I always ask vendors, I'm like, are you guys funded? Because if you're going to invest the time to get something set up and configured, you better hope that it's going to be there, next 2 years, 5 years. It also speaks to the innovation, right? Because they've got the resources to actually innovate, add new features, yada, yada, yada. So great option.
Yeah, I mean that I can't. So the little anecdote on that of is it funded? Is it going to be around for a while? These tools, when they are abandoned, become obsolete very quickly. So I mentioned Litify was the second legal specific entity management system. The first was Avvo Ignite. We talked about Avvo last week. Avvo Ignite was a great, and actually we'll go deep on this because it's it's enlightening. Avo Ignite was a really good, albeit simplistic and manual process to try and do exactly this. And it was launched a long, long time ago. Two things. One, it was never supported, right? And so it very quickly became super, super difficult to keep up. And when you're dealing with a very important internal process, changing the software is changing the process, changing the way people do things. And that is a huge pain in the neck. So we had a bunch of clients who held on to Avo Ignite for a long time, but Avo never updated it. And so it became increasingly difficult. And then one day we just got an email. It was like, all right, we're turning it off on Thursday. Good luck, right? Not great at all. The other thing, and this is why I brought up the data concerns, is Avo Ignite was really good at gathering data about how Avo advertising was working, as well as all of the other marketing channels. It was designed to gather data about how other marketing channels were working for clients, for law firms. Super, super valuable data for Avo to have in terms of their pricing and their value and what they should do, right? And so I watched that happen firsthand, and that's why I am paranoid about your own digital marketing business intelligence. And I think everyone should be paranoid about that.
Yeah, and just to give, so if people are not quite connecting the dots there, I'm going to try to give another analogy. And again, I'm not suggesting that this is going on, but this is
You are suggesting it's going on.
I think I'm going to frame it in a way that I think it will resonate more with people.
If it's not going on, the potential for it to go on is right there.
The potential is right there. But, think about Google Ads. If you feed all of your business data into the Google Ads platform, because Google will say, oh, well, we can optimize your ad spend better to, cost per acquisition or return on ad spend. They're also the game that sets the price of the clicks. So I'm not saying Google does that, but that's the analogy. If you're buying ads from somebody, and they also have all of your data, it lends itself to them to be able to say, oh, hey, we know what their margin is on these clicks or on this media spend. We could raise the price.
Yep.
That's the
or take those really great performing campaigns and bring it to the guy across the street.
Right.
And if you want to scare the shit out of yourself, go Google, go look on ZipRecruiter for data scientists and look for all the legal marketing providers. A data scientist is someone who specializes in gathering a ton of data and finding patterns, right? And so don't think this isn't happening. It's 100% happening.
So who else is on your short list? CRM and legal.
The other short list. So I'm gonna go with the two biggies that we like. They're insanely expensive. They're both built around the PI world. The Lead Docket and FileVine integration, really solid, really expensive. And we basically have our clients who are on it, who are spending a ton on it. They love it. And the other one to bring into this is Litify. We also have a bunch of clients on Litify. Also extremely expensive. Litify is built on Salesforce. So Salesforce was kind of the original big boy in the CRM world. It is amazingly extensible, but it is a kind of clunky pain in the neck to work with. And so Litify was built on top of Salesforce. So also very well loved among the PI world. It is also designed and heavily influenced by Morgan & Morgan, and it is designed to really pass referrals within that network. So you can look at that with eyes wide open in terms of a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because you opened the door for this, I'll walk right through it, and I appreciate you doing so because I know you were leading me down this path that I want to talk about. Our take at the Mockingbird side of things, we love HubSpot. HubSpot is not legal specific, so it requires an extensive amount of integration into a firm. Some of the beauties of HubSpot are the scalability. It's priced from $49 to we have clients who spend over $3,000 a month on it. And because it does lots of different things and it can scale as you grow. And the other thing that HubSpot does better than anything else out there is they've added onto it so much. So there's so much more that you can do with it. So the level of sophistication, if you are a really, really big spender, highly sophisticated firm, and you want to do some amazing, like absolutely cutting edge stuff, it's really hard to do that within a lot of the existing, especially the legal specific stuff. In HubSpot, it's just built into what they do, right? And it is fantastic. That is our pick. If I were to start a law firm myself and start from scratch, that's where I would go.
And I'm going to throw one more non-legal specific one, just for folks that are shopping. Check out Activecampaign.
Yep.
I would say it's, maybe call it HubSpot Lite, but they do a lot of things really, really well as well. Two other points I want to make here, and then we're going to wrap up because we're running out of time here. Actually, I'm going to make one point, and then we're going to wrap up with our final question. One point is, and I think this is a great idea for a future episode, Conrad, is you alluded to this idea of it only makes sense to invest heavily in the technology if you're actually running a lot of, and there's a heavy advertising investment or heavy marketing investment going on. And I think we should do an episode on some of your formulas for the engine versus the gas conversation and how to make a decision about that. I think that's really important. But short version, and HubSpot pitches this, it's only as expensive as it's not getting you from point A to point B, right? Just like marketing is. So it's actually, if it's helping you to increase conversion rates, it's actually making you more efficient. It pays for itself.
Yeah, I mean, it pays for itself, and I think this is this is why we like HubSpot. Although there's the flexibility of it, your CRM should generate a lot more business and a lot more data, and the value of that business and data is, if done and allocated correctly, dramatically larger than the investment that you'll make in CRM. Period. Right. Okay. And that's what you're talking about.
What's your number one tactical tip for CRM?
This is hard. So, and this is based on my experience watching Ignite kind of flounder, but also our experience now of working with law firms to get CRM deployed. Most lawyers will sit through a salesperson demo. They'll see all these amazing reports, right? And they'll be like, wow, I can start running my business more like a business. This is awesome. And so they will take the CRM system and plunk it into their organization, and then they'll be pissed 2 months later when it doesn't work, right? It's not doing what I thought that was going to happen. The reality is CRM adoption is really dependent on a couple things. One is working with the people who do the work, right? You need to make their lives easier. Otherwise, they're not going to change the way that they do the work, period. And so the top-down approach doesn't work. It's the bottom-up approach. The second thing, and especially for really sophisticated systems that have kind of lots of extensibility, do this slowly. Implement one thing, then implement the next thing. You will learn the system and learn what it can do and what it can't do by doing that. Whereas if all of a sudden you're like, if you try and launch the perfect thing on day 2, it will flounder and you will not understand the software the way you think you do, right? And so you asked for one tip, I gave 2. I like talking.
I was going to say, you may have given us like 10, but mine's going to be a lot shorter than yours, but I think you provide a lot of good points in there, and I can feel a lot. I empathize with a lot of those. I've seen a lot that happen a lot with law firms. Mine is nurture campaigns. Front end, right? So nurturing someone that reaches out to you that might not be ready to hire you, but maybe they want to download something from your site, or they want to do something to get to know you better. CRM is fantastic for moving someone from I'm just kind of interested in this to what they need to know to actually make a hiring decision, and then nurturing on the back end, right? Every law firm we talk to, what are you doing to stay in touch with former clients? Nothing. This CRM handles that for you. It can automatically fire out Happy New Year message or Happy New Year text. And again, you got to configure it so you're sending the right messaging to the right group of people. But nurturing on the front end and back end of that client journey makes all the difference in the world.
100%. And you guys all know you should do it, and you don't, because it's hard. Make it easy with CRM. We sound like CRM salespeople now.
We're joining the CRM sales force. Oh, no pun intended.
Money makes a world go round. Money makes a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round. Money makes a world go round. Yeah, money make a world go round.